Total planer rebuild, table casting, and sprocket housing, day 2. I came back out here at, it must have been 7 o'clock last night. Gave this another good coat, and it's been sitting in front of the heater all night, and it is nice and dry. So we're gonna move this up to the drying rack. I also put the hardware for this part of the planer in the Berrymans last night, and we'll find something to catch the drips, and we'll run this under the faucet under really hot water, bring it back in here and dry it with the heat gun, and then we'll get this in the evaporust right away. We have freezing drizzle going on right now, and it's incredibly dangerous walking out here. Hopefully I don't break my neck. I have a bucket set up over there for rinsing off the big casting. Once we get this casting done, we're going to put that on that bucket out there and hook up a hose and give this a good rinse down. Let's get these dry and into some evaporust. I should have this planer rebuild done in a week or 2, and then we'll be back to the shop rebuild, and with any luck we'll be working some wood very soon. Yeah, this is really hard to hold on to. There we go. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the action here. I don't think I'm going to use any evaporust on this table. I think I'm just going to use the palm sander with 80 and probably 100, and then I'm going to straight sand all the way up to maybe 400. And yeah, we'll get the tops of these as well, and we'll remove the tag. Okay, yeah, we'll just use PB Blaster as a lubricant and start sanding away on this. This is 100 grit. Then I'm going to go to 120 with the disc again. And then we'll get progressively higher so we get this really nice. Yeah, this is definitely not going to take this down to a mirror finish, I don't think, but it's going to be nice and smooth. Let's try a little experiment. We'll put just a little dab of the evaporust gel on these stains right here and see if that does anything. It's not going to hurt anything. At least I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Hopefully it doesn't. Well, you can see that it's turning the area white. I may have to go back and do the whole tabletop with the Evaporust to even out the color. This might have been a big mistake, but we'll see in, oh, I think it's 20 minutes. Okay, it's been about an hour, and that definitely did not do any better, maybe a little worse. We'll get rid of this stuff and then sand it again and keep going from there. Actually, looks like that helped. All right, I'm going to use a couple more fresh discs and then we'll move on to a finer grit. And this is 120. I've gone back and forth this way and that way with 180 with PB Blaster. Oh, probably for the last 15 minutes. And hopefully that took all the scratch from the 120 off. I have 220 discs. That's as fine of a disc as I have. Once I'm done with this, I already did it once. Once I'm done with the 220, I'll move on to 320 and then 400, and then we'll start working on getting the rest of this cleaned up and get it painted. It's 320. And this is with PB Blaster. Any blackness you see is metal coming off, so it's taking off the scratch from the last grit. It's not going to take off any deep scratches or some of the stains, but it's going to be a real nice smooth table when I'm done. Unfortunately, I don't have any 400 grit, so I'm just going to go with the final grit, which is 600, and then we'll go clean this thing off and do some detailing and get it painted. Now for these. These could be rivet nuts, which means they may have threads on them, and you get those off by taking a utility chisel and pounding it into it and then turning it, and if it unscrews, it unscrews. If not, we'll take the chisel this way and cut the rivets off. I don't know if we'll put it back on if we cut the rivets off or not. I would have to find that same size and drill out the holes and all that stuff. Don't know if it's really worth it or not. So let's try unscrewing them first, and if that don't work, we'll cut them off. Nope, and it scratched the tag as well. Oh well. I don't know. If I chose the leaves flush, I may be able to drill that out. Beautiful. The tag is a little damaged, but who cares? Now for the nasty part. It's a little slippery. It's like somebody had some PB Blaster on this. Wow. All right. I'm going to spray some super clean on this. I want to get all of the oils and stuff off of it, and this stuff will really do it. Mostly just at the edges and in these holes on the bottom. And I'm using this foaming stuff. Then I'll get some gloves on and we'll flip it over. And we'll get the other side. Make sure to get these edges where the PB Blaster dribbled off. And I need to paint in a little bit. All right, I'm going to scrub this up a little bit, and then we'll head out and rinse this off. I brought it in and dried it with the heat gun real quick. There was no time to go get the camera. We got just a smidge of flash rust. Yeah, that'll come right off. But now we're gonna wipe this entire upper part down with lacquer thinner. Get rid of any final oils and grime, and then we can start painting. Show you my masking before we start painting. Got the grub screw holes for the column masked off and the column holes. This is for the grub screw for the eccentric. We got 4 of those. Well, and we have 4 columns. And then besides that, it's just the top. We're going to spritz a little bit of primer on this, and then right away, go right into the paint. Not much to paint here. Okay, let's get this done. Okay, sprocket housing is done, and the table casting is done, or it's painted. Nothing like a fresh coat of paint to show off all of the imperfections in the casting, but it'll look really nice once this is all put back together. So I think I'll wrap up this video with the unmasking of this, and then we'll get this set aside, and I'm not exactly sure what we're going to start on next. But whatever it is, we'll start on it tomorrow. Okay, it's been about 2 hours. This stuff is still real tacky, but this is when you want to unmask it. Because if you let it get hard, then you run the risk of the paint chipping. This oil-based enamel gets really hard, and what you'll get is like a real rough edge where your masking was. If you do it while it's still kind of rubbery, you get a real nice clean edge. That looks beautiful. And I'm going to go over this top again and polish it up, and then we'll put some lubricant / anti-rust stuff on it and move on to the next item. I really don't have to pull out the plug stuff, but may as well get it done. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I'll get a pick and do that. This came out real nice. And I'll have to come in here. I'll clean out these column holes, and I'll clean out these eccentric holes really well and put the anti-rust stuff on those. We'll put anti-rust stuff on this as well. And this should be good to go. All right. Beautiful. Okay, we'll get back with this in the morning. Oopsie, I forgot to make an end to the video. Since I did this, I went and painted the hood and the motor mount, and I just have a tiny little bit of paint left in these 2 cans. I don't think there's even enough for this cover. So I have to run to town and get, I don't know how many cans. I think 3 will probably do it. But I have this cover plate, this shield here, this big shield from the top of the planer itself, and the head casting. And the head casting will be the underside and the top side. So kind of judging by what I have done already out of 3 cans, it looks like 3 cans is going to do it. So that's all I'm going to have made up. So until I can get to town, we had a blizzard yesterday, and it's going to be really, really, really cold tonight. So I can't get to town for a couple days. So until I can do that, I do have another, well, actually I have 2 videos made since then, but the next video I'm going to be making is polishing up the columns and then cleaning up the Acme screws. I'm going to pull the bearings off of here and repack them. They got some pretty gross grease in there. So cleaning, repacking. I'm just going to kind of touch this up a bit. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this. I don't think I'm going to do anything other than polish it up and then possibly paint the center part again. Don't really know. I got to get this stuff blued. This is all for the columns right here. I bought a brush for going up inside of there. You could see that after all that cleaning, I still have a bit of rust in this one. This one's dead clean, and these still have oxide in them. So I'm going to hook this up to a drill, go in and out, get that kind of cleaned out, and then I'm going to paint the insides black. And like I said, I'm going to have the outsides real nice and polished. And I'll be polishing that stuff up and rust proofing it with this CRC 336. The brush also fits in here, and these are filthy. So I'm going to have to do some cleanup again with the super clean, get a bunch of it down in there, and I'm going to have to find something to mount this on so I can use the drill, and then just go back and forth with the drill, get that nice and cleaned out. Should be real nice once it's done though. This is going to paint up really well, and the welding that I had done on here is basically just going to disappear. And upon looking at this further, these holes aren't threaded, and they mount directly to these, well, I'm not sure what you would call them, but the top casting rests on these. It's bolted in here, so all that does is keeps the top casting connected to these, which are connected to the Acme threaded rods. So they're not really a stress point anyways, but I'm glad I got those cracks welded up. They nickel welded that. Did a pretty good job too. Okay, so that'll wrap this video up. Make sure you subscribe. I have, like I said, I have a lot of videos coming up on this, and once we're done with the planer, we're gonna hook that up, set it up right here, hook it up to the dust collection like this, and then we will have an operational shop, and I'm going to get back onto covering the walls with plywood. So make sure you subscribe and stop back to see that.